12 bar blues tutorial, let's go. So this clip, much like the last one, got a lot of requests in terms of me making tabs, but again, like last time, I'd rather do a tutorial. So we're just going to do pretty much the same as the last video. I'm going to play through the piece slowly and then we're going to break it down. So this is the progression played in a slower tempo. So there are basically two kind of golden rules to playing this progression, and the first one is that you need to keep this groove going in your right hand, and the groove goes like this. So it's basically just based on the fact that you play a bass note and then you slap with the rest of your hand, and you kind of swing it and you don't swing it. So that kind of like varies throughout the progression, but you always need to keep that kind of groove going to keep the flow in the 12 bars. There's also another thing that you need to keep in mind, and that's that if you're playing like a lick or one of them like fills and you're not necessarily doing the chords, you need to keep in mind that the chords are always going in that 12 bar loop. So for example, with this lick, the chords are still going in the background even though you're not playing them. So when you jump back, you need to be in the same place in the loop that the chords would be. So now let's have a look at the chords. So obviously it's just following, you know, 12 bar progression, 3 chords, A, D, and E. So the first one is an A7. I do the thumb to 5th, and then 5th fret on the D, G, and B string. And you do a little hammer on from the 5th to the 6th fret on the G string. But the A7 chord actually has 3 different voicings in this piece, so that's the first one. The next one is a bar chord from on the 7th fret on the D, G, and B string, and the next one is 9, 9, and 8th fret on the D, G, and B string. So you got, and that's kind of the loop for the A chord. The next one is a D9, which is 5 on the A string, 4, 5, 5. Do a little slide on that, and you move the whole shape up to the 7th fret, and just kind of slide it down. So that's the same shape throughout the whole thing, you just kind of slide it. And then the last chord is an E7 sharp 9. So that's 7th fret on the A string, 6th, 7, 8. And everything around that is basically just variations of those shapes. So for example, when you work your way back up to the A7 chord, second time around, you just do the same shape, but you go chromatically from the 3rd fret up to the 5th. So now we're going to look at how you kind of incorporate those chord shapes into the groove and how it all kind of fits together. So it starts off, obviously you need to keep the rhythm thing in your right hand, and then you pluck the A string, open A string, as you play that 7th thing. So every time you play this first shape, the bass notes goes with the chord, but for the 2 other ones, the bass note gets plucked first and then the chord. So it's, and this lick is going from the 8th fret up to the 10th fret on the B string, and you slide up, and then you go by the 9th fret for a little slide as well. And you need to keep in mind, everything you're playing, even the licks and the chords, you need to keep that slap going. So it's that's on the slap. So the first little section is and then you land back on this one instead of going to that one, because when you were playing the lick, technically this chord was playing in the background, so you need to jump straight on the second shape. So once you've done that lick, you jump back straight into the loop. And after you play this, you do this other lick, which is like a really kind of Albert King type of lick. So you go 8th fret on the B string, and then you do a pull off down to the 5th fret, and then you pluck the 8th fret on the G string, but you quickly slide down to the 7th fret, pull off down to the 5th, and you play the 7th fret on the D string. With that slap, of course, that follows the groove and the progression. That's when you jump into your D9 chord. So you play your D, slide it up from a fret underneath, slide up to the 7th, and then slide down to the 5th again, and make sure that you kind of stop at each fret on the way down to kind of accent each fret as it goes down. So you can actually hear the kind of, it's like it's going downstairs, like without you actually playing it. And then you jump to the, which is technically a G7, is the same shape as the A7, just 2 frets down. Make your way up chromatically up to the 5th fret again. Still keeping the groove the whole time. So now you're going to be on the A7 for a couple of bars. And then you're going to do, play the 5th fret on the A string and do an incline up to the 7th fret for the E. Then you're going to land that E7 sharp 9. And then you're going to pluck an open E string while you do the slide up, which is 7th fret on the G string, 8th fret on the B string, slide up 2 frets, and slide down again. And when as you slap, you do the kind of second part of the Albert King lick. 8th fret, slide down to 7th, 5th fret, and then 7th fret on the D string. Land on the D9, and here comes kind of like the punchline lick, where you slap, and you bend up from 7th fret to 8th fret on the E string. And then as you're bending down, you slide up by the 8th fret. So it goes, and then you do a pull off down to the 5th fret, and then you slap again on the 8th fret on the B string, and then you bend that up to this note, and you pluck the 5th fret on top there. So it's and the same kind of slide down from the 8th fret down to the 7th, 5th, and then 7th on D string. Jump back into the loop, go into the second voicing of the A7 chord, down to the first one, and then up to the E7 sharp 9 again. So the last kind of lick goes, finish on the A7, and just kind of do this slide where they go down. So that's it really for the tutorial. Like, there's kind of small details that you can add and change however you want. So for example, on the D9 chord here, there's kind of like these small plucks, but as long as you have that kind of groove on your right hand the whole time, you're going to be able to add those as you wish. So that's it really. Just leave a comment, tell me what you think, like if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, and thanks.